Okay, so our page this week is really simple. The prompt is to use arrows, and one of the verses is, in all your ways acknowledge him and he will make your path straight. So today, instead of using like extra stuff that I'm gluing on, I'm actually going to draw it because arrows are relatively easy to draw. Okay, so I'm going to just start, and I'm going to make a big arrow. My vision kind of is to make a big arrow and to journal along the arrow. So I'm not perfect with this, obviously, but let's go ahead and make an arrow. So I'm doing it in pencil first. Okay, that way I can erase it if I mess up. So let's just go ahead and real lightly do this. And then in general, I'm going to make my arrow curvy. Okay, because the whole idea is that my path without God would be pretty curvy. Okay, so this is my general arrow. Okay, so I've just made an arrow, and what I'll do is I will outline it in pen when I'm done. Okay, so there's my arrow. And then I want to remind myself, and then I can, what I'll probably do is do a design in there, or we'll figure that out in a minute. But what the verse is Proverbs 3:6, and it says, in all your ways acknowledge him and he will make straight your path. So what I'm going to write in here is make straight my path. Okay, so I'm just going to sort of make straight my path. All right, so I'm just going to kind of eyeball it. Make straight. Let's make sure I spell this right. S-T-R-A-I-G-H-T, right? How you spell it? Straight. And see, I've run out of room. Okay, so that tells me I need to tighten this up a smidge. So I'm going to so that's why I do it in pencil, right? So I'm going to take this and I'm going to tighten this up. Okay, so let's make straight. A-I-G-H-T. And then we're going to get a my, and then path. Okay, so make straight my path. So I've written that on there. And then I want the reference on here somewhere, Proverbs 3:6. So I'm probably going to put that just right in here. Proverbs 3:6. All right. So basically I have make straight my path. I've got the verse there. Okay, so I could just like start coloring this and fix this up right now, and it would be perfectly fun. What I'm going to do though is I'm going to say make straight my path. And how am I making straight my path? He will make straight your path if you acknowledge him. So I'm just going to put on here, I acknowledge you. So I'm going to just say I another word I gotta figure out how to spell. Knowledge you. So I acknowledge you. And then I'm going to say, I'm going to point another arrow down to here. So I acknowledge you, therefore make straight my path. You know what? I might make this like a road. That might be kind of fun. Like it's a path, you know? Kind of like a road. Maybe. And that can be my little design in there. And I could even pretty it up a little bit with some dots. We'll do that in a minute. So now I could be done right now with just kind of color it in. But I feel like I need something here. What can I put here? So our other verse is, Hezekiah did throughout all Judah. He did what was good and right and faithful before the Lord his God, in every work that he undertook in the service of the house of God and in accordance with the law and the commandments, seeking his God, he did with all his heart and prospered. Okay, so I acknowledge you. And so maybe on this side, I'll say with all my heart. Okay, so maybe I make it, I know, let me make a heart. You could use one that's cut out as well. But let's just make one real quick because I'm just doing this freehand. And then I'm going to put in here with all my heart. Okay. So I acknowledge you, make straight my paths, and then with all my heart. And I'm going to go ahead and put this reference here so I don't forget it. 2 Chronicles 31, 20, and 21. All right, so I'm going to fast forward this because I'm just going to outline the arrow. I'm going to outline, actually, you know what? I'm going to color in the arrow first and then outline it. And that way the outline won't smear. And then I'm going to outline all of my words, and I'll kind of speed through this part of the video. Okay, so just so you know, when I'm coloring something in with pencil, a lot of times I'll just color it in just in general. I'll just color in, that's what you saw me do. And then I'll do just a little bit of contouring. So I'm gonna contour around the edges. And all that means is, and I don't know if that's the right word, I'm not an artist, but that just means I'm gonna darken these little curves. And you'll see what a difference it makes. So I'm gonna take the little curves here and I'm gonna darken them. So I'm going to darken this little curve. I'm going to darken this curve. Actually, my actual table is wood, and it's not even, so it makes it a little uneven, which is, I don't really care, but. So I've got that, and I've got this just a little bit. Okay. And, you know, none of that's necessary, but it just kind of adds a little bit of fun. And I'm going to darken this on this side over here. Okay, now I could outline this in this color and just make the whole thing an outline, but I'm actually going to outline it in black. Let's just see how that works. Okay, there's my arrow. And then on the inside, I'm going to actually use the pen for the words and for the little highlights on the inside. I can thicken up some of these lines. I put little bubbles on the end of my lines for no good reason. Whoops. And see what happens? All right, so see, I just sort of quote unquote messed that up. So I'm just gonna make that line a little thicker. Okay, so there is my little lines. All right, so now I can actually go back through here too. Now that I have the black outline, and I can make sure that this pink is all the way up against it. Okay, so now I have my arrow. Now I'm just gonna go through and I'm going to just outline my words, and I could do that just in regular pen. I could do it in colored pencil. Let's see, what I'm gonna do it in now is okay, this is not actually a Sharpie, it's just what I could find. This is a Zig pencil. It's just a writer, and it comes in, it's got two different, size tips. And I'm just going to use this, and I'm just going to use black, okay, because I'm going to mainly do black here, okay. So I've already sort of outlined this, so now I just have to go over it in black. And when you go over it, you can kind of even things up a little bit. Like if you haven't done it real neat, which it doesn't have to be neat to begin with. Now, if I want to make this word just a little bit more fancy, I can, it's just kind of a little hand lettering tip to make it more fancy. I can thicken some of the parts of the letter. Like maybe I'm going to thicken the first part of the letter. I could even flare it just a little bit. And so I thicken the leading part of the letter, and I give it just a little bit of a flare. See how I've done that? So, I mean, it makes it just a little bit more fancy. You can just do it however you want to do it. But sometimes I'm doing other things when I do this. And so, I'm listening to something. Maybe I'm listening to the Bible. And I'm just kind of doing this as I go. And then I can kind of multitask. All right, so I'm going to finish this up and I will speed it up. Okay, so one thing when you have another capital letter like this one plus this one, sometimes it's nice to make them kind of similar. You know, like if you've made a little flare on the first one, it's nice to make a similar little flare on the next one. Not necessary, but just makes it kind of, it makes it pleasing to the eye. Okay, now, the whole time I'm doing this, I am either listening to worship music or I am listening to my Bible. Remember, the whole point of this is not just to waste our time, but to understand what God is telling us through this scripture. So I am praying that God will make straight my path. That is my prayer. Okay, I acknowledge you. Let's go ahead and copy that. All right, I am living proof that you do not have to have good penmanship in order to do these kind of projects. Because my penmanship is awful. I'm going to take this Y and I'm going to fancy it up just a little bit. So I'm going to acknowledge. You. And I might go ahead and just make it go right into my arrow. Okay, what I'm doing with my arrow is I'm just going through, and again, I'm thickening up some of these curves. Not thickening the whole thing, but just the curves. Okay. All right, so I acknowledge you, and this is not real neat, and that's okay. Okay. So, I acknowledge you, make straight my paths. Now, I've got this little part over here with all my heart. Now, I need for my heart, I want my heart to be, a a pretty color. So let's go ahead and make it the same pink color that I used for my arrow, just the outline of it. Okay, I'm going to thicken up again. Just thicken up some of these little rounded edges. This just helps for me. It helps me where I've kind of messed up the lines. It just helps me with that. It covers a multitude of sins, so to speak. Okay, and I'm going to go into With All My Heart. And for these, because the words are so small, I'm not really doing anything fancy with the words. I'm just sort of, I'm just going over them with my pen. I did a little curly Q here with the A, just for fun. And that's it. And then I'm going to put my verse. And really, that's my page for this week. That's the whole thing. I'm going to call this done. I'm going to be happy with this, and it's just 2 colors. But it tells me what I need to say. I acknowledge you. Please, God, make straight my path as I acknowledge you, and I do it with all of my heart. And this is my prayer this week. I could add more stuff here if I want. I could go and add some curly cues here. Like if I want to take my pencil and I just want to follow my my arrow around. Oops. See, that's why I do it with pencil. Let's say I want to follow my arrow around here and then give it a little up to up to up. And maybe that's another arrow. Okay. Maybe I do one up here too, where I just kind of follow this around. Make another arrow, you know, just for fun. I can certainly do that. I can make this another color. I can make it black. I don't really want to do other colors. So let's go ahead and do these since I've already drawn them. Again, I'm going to come back through. I've done it. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come back through on my inner little curves and thicken them up just a little bit. All right, so let me do the same with this up here. So there, I've added a little bit of extra. And now I'm done. I'm really and truly done this time. Okay. That is my arrow prompt.